The Texas sun had barely kissed the horizon when the first whispers of trouble began to creep across the outskirts of Amarillo. To anyone driving past the sprawling mansion on the ridge, it looked like a fortress carved out of stone and steel. Its manicured lawns, high walls, and hidden cameras a testament to wealth, power, and a life lived far above the ordinary. But inside, the mansion belonged to someone who was anything but ordinary. Known in certain circles as The Rock, he was a man whose presence demanded respect, whose reputation was carved from years in special operations, and whose enemies had long learned to fear the quiet storm behind his calm demeanor. That morning, the cartel didn't know who owned the mansion. They only knew it as a prize, an opulent fortress ripe for intimidation, a symbol to be crushed under fire. Flamethrowers, gasoline, and reckless bravado. Within minutes, the mansion's pristine walls began to melt under a fiery siege. Smoke choked the sky, carrying with it the arrogance of men who had no idea they were dancing on the edge of a volcano. From a safe distance, the Rock's security feeds lit up like a symphony of chaos. Calm, precise, and unnervingly patient, he watched, calculating every possible angle, every exit, every vulnerability, and in that quiet before the storm, a single thought burned brighter than the fire. Vengeance was coming. The fire had died down by the time the first responders arrived, leaving nothing but blackened stone, twisted metal, and the acrid smell of smoke that clung to everything like a curse. The cartel, drunk on adrenaline and ignorance, had vanished into the desert, convinced they'd sent a message. What they didn't realize was that they'd awakened a storm. Inside the ruined mansion, the Rock moved like a ghost, every step measured, every motion deliberate. The security room was a tableau of destruction, screens shattered, wires melted, alarms charred into silence. But even here, he found clues. Camera fragments showed masked figures, vehicles marked with cartel insignias, and weapons left carelessly behind. Amateur mistakes, sloppy, foolish, deadly. He crouched beside the scorched remains of what had once been a state-of-the-art tactical computer. Fingers traced the remnants of the system, extracting every frame, every motion pattern the attackers had left behind. By the time the morning sun fully rose, the Rock had already compiled a profile. 15 armed men, well-trained but reckless, led by someone who underestimated the consequences of a single miscalculation. Outside, neighbors whispered about the explosion. Rumors flew. Insurance fraud, gang wars, mysterious disappearances. But nobody guessed the truth. Not yet. And as the Rock surveyed the ruined estate, he made a quiet vow. When the cartel realized who they had crossed, the reckoning would be total, precise, and unforgettable. The desert wind carried the faint echo of sirens, but the Rock didn't flinch. Patience was his weapon now, and vengeance would be surgical. By the next morning, the mansion's ruins had cooled into silence. The Rock stood on the ridge overlooking what used to be his home, the place he built not just from money, but from memories. Every brick had meant something. Every inch of it carried years of sweat and solitude, and now it was all ash. But the Rock wasn't a man who mourned for long. He was a soldier before he was a homeowner, a strategist before he was a victim. He opened the tailgate of his matte black Chevy Silverado. Inside was a hardened tactical case marked Black Talon. Within seconds, biometric locks clicked open, revealing encrypted satellite gear, a combat laptop, and a folder labeled Echo Team. His fingers moved with old muscle memory as he activated the encrypted line. One by one, faces appeared on screen. Former Navy SEALs, Delta operators, intelligence contacts, men who owed him favors and some who didn't but respected him enough to answer. "Boys," the Rock said calmly, his deep voice steady, "I've got a problem." No one interrupted. They could see the fire reflected in his sunglasses. "The cartel burned my home down last night," he continued. 15 men, North Texas cell. They don't know whose door they kicked in. I'm not calling the police, I'm calling family. On the other end of the call, silence broke with a laugh, low and dangerous. "Tell us when and where," said Mason Briggs, his oldest friend and demolitions expert. The Rock cracked a rare grin. 48 hours. Bring everything that burns." By dawn, a convoy would begin to move across the Texas plains, silent, lethal, and bound by brotherhood. 2 days later, the Texas plains were restless. The winds carried heat, dust, and the quiet hum of machines built for one purpose: war. The Rock's convoy rolled out before sunrise. 3 blacked-out SUVs, a modified Humvee, and a support van filled with communications and surveillance gear. Inside, Mason Briggs manned the drone controls, his tattooed hands guiding a military-grade Raven UAV that sliced through the sky like a shadow. The drone's live feed displayed grids of movement, border routes, gas stations, and cartel checkpoints. Target vehicle identified, Mason muttered. Blue Ford Raptor custom plates spotted outside Lubbock. Heat signatures show 3 hostiles inside. The Rock leaned over the screen, jaw tightening. That's them. Keep eyes on it. No engagement until I say so. The team moved fast. They didn't speak much. They didn't need to. Years of shared combat had made communication almost telepathic. Each man understood his role. Recon, overwatch, extraction, containment. By noon, the convoy halted near an abandoned grain mill on the edge of a dirt road. Dust swirled as they stepped out, armed but controlled. The Rock scanned the horizon through his rifle's scope, spotting the faint shimmer of the cartel's truck approaching. Showtime, he whispered. The ambush was silent and surgical. A spike strip deployed across the road. Tires burst, metal screeched, and before the cartel men could even reach for their weapons, the Rock and his men were on them. 3 hostiles subdued in under 12 seconds. He crouched beside their leader, a young man with a snake tattoo on his neck, trembling. Who sent you? The Rock asked. The man hesitated, coughing blood. You don't know who you're dealing with. The Rock smiled coldly. Neither do you. He turned to Mason. Get the name, then bury the truck. By the time the dust settled, the interrogation had yielded a single word, Sinaloa. The hunt had just turned international. Night fell heavy over the border town of El Paso. The neon lights from roadside motels flickered against the dust as the Rock stood by his truck, scanning the horizon. Beyond those hills was Mexico and the cartel stronghold he intended to dismantle, piece by piece. Crossing means no backup, Mason reminded him, loading a suppressed M4. No air cover, no U.S. jurisdiction. The Rock zipped up his tactical vest. We're not going in to start a war, he said. We're going in to finish one. The convoy rolled quietly toward a desolate border crossing, an old cattle trail now forgotten by both governments. The moonlight shimmered over their matte vehicles as they crossed the Rio Grande, tires cutting through shallow water. Within minutes, they were ghosts in foreign territory. In a safe house just outside Ciudad Juarez, the team regrouped. Their local contact, a weathered man named Diego Morales, a former Federale turned informant, greeted them nervously. You shouldn't have come, Diego whispered. The man who ordered your house burned. He's not like others. He's called El Fuego. He doesn't fear death. He worships it. The Rock studied him, calm as ever. Good, he said. I'll give him a reason to meet his god sooner. They began gathering intelligence, drone recon, informant calls, intercepted cartel radio chatter. Every move was precise. Within 24 hours, they had mapped out the cartel's entire logistics network. Safe houses, convoys, and El Fuego's mansion near Chihuahua. At dawn, they moved out in full stealth formation. The Rock rode shotgun, night vision goggles hanging around his neck, eyes locked on the road ahead. His voice cut through the comms, low and steady. This isn't about revenge anymore. It's about balance. The men nodded silently. In that moment, the mission became something bigger. A reckoning written in fire and iron. They were no longer just soldiers. They were justice in motion. Night cloaked the desert outskirts of Chihuahua as the Rock crouched atop a ridge, binoculars sweeping the sprawling compound below. El Fuego's mansion was a fortress of reinforced walls, armed guards, and watchtowers. Heat lamps glowed in the courtyards, casting long shadows like hungry predators. Perimeter looks tight, Mason whispered over comms, voice low. At least 20 armed men, cameras everywhere. The Rock's jaw clenched. Good. I hate easy targets. The SEAL team split into 2 units, each with a specific mission. Alpha, led by the Rock, would breach the west wall, taking out guards quietly. Bravo would sneak in through the drainage tunnels, setting up surveillance and disabling security systems. The Rock moved with the stealth of a predator, his rifle at the ready. They infiltrated the compound undetected, accomplishing their objectives swiftly. But then, disaster struck. An alarm pierced the night, and the courtyard was bathed in red light. Their cover was blown, and the cartel would be on high alert. The cartel's retaliation was fierce, bullets raining down on the Rock's position. He fired back calmly, his aim unerring. Mason's drone illuminated enemy positions, guiding the sniper's deadly accurate shots. Grenades exploded, shattering glass and filling the mansion with smoke. The SEALs advanced through the chaos, their movements a testament to their rigorous training. They cleared each room with practiced efficiency, working together like a well-oiled machine. Their mission was to find El Fuego, and they wouldn't be deterred. The Rock confronted El Fuego in his fortified office, the cartel leader taunting him from behind protective glass. Undaunted, The Rock smashed through the barrier and engaged El Fuego in a brutal hand-to-hand combat. Their clash was intense, fueled by contrasting ideologies. The Rock's discipline versus El Fuego's ruthless ambition. The outcome hung in the balance as these two forces of nature battled for dominance. The air was thick with tension as The Rock and El Fuego faced off in the ravaged office. El Fuego, fueled by desperation, charged with a knife, but The Rock countered effortlessly, leveraging his opponent's aggression. The cartel leader crashed into the wall, yet refused to yield. He sought another weapon, snarling defiance as The Rock closed in, his movements calculated and relentless. The battle was far from over. The Rock's words hung in the air as he overpowered El Fuego, their struggle a violent dance. The cartel leader's fury was no match for The Rock's mastery of combat. Using every advantage, The Rock subdued Fuego, his grip unyielding. With a final, fierce stare, The Rock delivered his verdict. El Fuego's reign of terror was over, extinguished by the very flames he once wielded. With El Fuego defeated and his operation dismantled, The Rock and his team emerged victorious. The cartel's stronghold lay in ruins, its grip on power loosened. As they stood together under the starry sky, a sense of closure washed over them. The Rock's mission was accomplished, justice served. Together, they would return home, weary but triumphant, knowing their actions had restored balance to a world threatened by chaos. The convoy's return to Texas marked the end of their perilous journey. The Rock, ever vigilant, navigated the road ahead while his team reflected on their ordeal. As they neared Amarillo, the remnants of his destroyed home loomed before them, a haunting symbol of destruction and resilience. The community watched, unaware of the heroism that had transpired, but The Rock didn't seek recognition. His focus remained on rebuilding and moving forward, his resolve unshaken. The Rock stood amidst the ruins, momentarily allowing grief to surface, yet, true to his character, he quickly shifted to action. With a resolute tone, he instructed his team to not only reconstruct the physical structure, but also restore the sense of security and normalcy it represented. His message was clear. This home and the life within it would rise stronger than before, and any future threats would be met with unwavering resolve. The team sprang into action, their movements a testament to their unity and purpose. The Rock, meanwhile, stood as a figure of unyielding determination. The arson attack had ignited more than flames. It had stirred a primal instinct within him, a fierce commitment to safeguard his domain and those he cared about. His resolve hardened, transforming the ashes of his home into a promise of unrelenting protection and vengeance for any who dared cross him again. With dawn breaking over the Texas landscape, The Rock surveyed his land, a beacon of resilience in the face of adversity. His story served as a testament to the indomitable spirit of those who refuse to back down. For those captivated by this narrative of strength and determination, there's more to come. Subscribe to stay tuned for additional gripping tales of heroism, tactical brilliance, and unyielding resolve. The adventure continues, and The Rock's legend will only grow.